All right, well, got some more news for you guys. I'm sure you've probably already read it if you've been combing the internet for boxing news. I'm sure this probably came across your sites here. It seems as though Deontay Wilder has finally come to his senses, at least at least in one regard, and at least in this regard, when it comes to Mark Breland, because there have been rumors that um, Mark Breland may get fired because of what happened in the fight with Tyson Fury between Deontay Wilder, where he threw the towel in, and Deontay Wilder was not happy about it. He voiced his concerns over Breland doing that, and many speculated, and he even kind of indicated that he possibly would be getting rid of Breland, but it looks like cooler heads prevailed. He had a couple days to think about it, or even maybe listening to other people comment on it and other fighters and other trainers comment on it. And you really can't find anyone that thought what Breland did was the wrong thing, except for Deontay Wilder and JD's. So maybe Wilder had heard everyone else's comments, and I'm not saying that that totally influenced him, but maybe it did have some influence on his decision to keep Mark Breland. So maybe there was pressure from the boxing public and the inner circle of boxing to keep Breland. So that's a positive. That's one positive we could take away from this debacle that we've been witnessing this week with this barrage of excuses and ridiculous statements coming out of Wilder's mouth and his team. So let's get a quote here. This is from ESPN. And let's see what Wilder actually said. Okay. Okay, so Deontay Wilder goes on to say, I'm a warrior. I feel the same way I felt on fight night. If I have to go out, I want to go out on my shield, Wilder told ESPN in a statement Friday night. But I understand that my corner and my team has my best interest at heart. Mark Breland is still part of Team Wilder, and our team looks forward to preparing for the trilogy fight. Goes on to say that Wilder plans to exercise his contractual right to face Fury again in their next fight. They fought to a disputed draw in their first fight in December. And also goes on to say that, according to Bob Arum, top ranked, the third fight is contractually due to take place by July 18th in the United States, but Arum said he would consult with Wilder co-manager Al Heyman of Premier Boxing Champions on figuring out the exact date. Arum said that the Fury side is willing to move the fight to the fall if Wilder needs more rest after last week's fight, or if it makes sense commercially. So this fight is supposed to happen in the summer, supposed to happen by July 18th, according to the contract. But considering how that fight ended and Wilder's condition after that fight, that Bob Arum is willing to move the fight back to the fall, which is probably the smart thing to do. So Wilder could be 100%, which I assume and speculate may happen. I don't think this fight's going to happen in the summer. I could be wrong, but I suspect that it may happen. It may happen in the fall. Now, this is what aggravates me again. I made a video about this earlier, and Dan Raphael is once again saying things that he really can't prove with 100% certainty. He said the fight, which received massive promotion from both outlets, generated between 800 and 850,000 buys. Multiple sources told ESPN. Again, who are these sources? When I've already explained and I've already shown proof that it takes more than 5 days to count out pay-per-view numbers, and I pointed out two instances in two fights where a week later both fights generated or tabulated 250 to 260 or closer to 300,000 more pay-per-view buys than the initial projection. And those two fights were De La Hoya versus Mayweather and Joshua versus Ruiz. So it takes more than 5 days to count a pay-per-view. So Dan Raphael, with his experience, should know that. And if I know it, he should know it. So that's what pisses me off. Again, Dan Raphael is even now repeating this ridiculousness. Multiple sources told ESPN. Again, who are these multiple sources, and how are they able to determine this? Okay. Then he goes on to say that Wilder Fury 2 needed to sell about 1.2 million subscriptions for the event to break even, according to sources. Again, well, we know Arum was quoted as saying that. So he said 1.1, he's saying 1.2. But again, is that 1.1 or 1.2? Is that domestically or is that globally? That's the thing. You're not counting in UK, and you're not counting in the other foreign markets. Then he goes on to say that Wilder and Fury were guaranteed more than $25 million apiece on a deal that was 50-50 between the sides. The third fight flips to 60-40 in favor of the Wild side since he won. So we know that it flips to 60-40 on the Fury side, since Fury won. But how does he come up with this $25 million, more than $25 million apiece figure, when only $5 million was reported to the commission? Now, how does he come up with these numbers? How does he come up with these numbers? Who's telling him this? So this is the thing. Again, I don't want to turn this into a bash boxing media video again like I did the last video, but this is what pisses me off about these journalists that are saying things without 100% certainty. These are just rumors. We don't know how much these guys are making. We don't know. Just like the $100 million deal with Tyson Fury and ESPN that was supposed to be legit. I called Bob Arum, and you heard him say that is bullshit. So I bet you if I called him today and asked him about all this shit, he would say this is bullshit too. And this is the problem we have with mainstream media, or boxing media, not mainstream media, boxing media. This is the problem that we have. We have these guys that have these positions, and they're coming out and making irresponsible statements, and all they have to do is put the word sources in front of it, and we're supposed to take that shit as gospel. You don't have quotes. You don't have any actual quotes that you can attach these statements to. You don't have it. All you have is these people just coming out with a statement, and they put sources in front of it, and that's all they have to do. That's lazy journalism, guys. I could put out a statement that I seen a pig jump off a building or fly, and just put sources in front of it, and is everyone supposed to believe it? I mean, it's just lazy journalism, guys. It's fucking lazy journalism. And it's clickbait is what it is. Lazy journalism and clickbait. And Dan Raphael knows better than this because he's been in the game a long time. He's been in the game long enough to know that this is bull. You shouldn't be doing shit like this. It's bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. It's lazy fucking journalism. Is what it is. And it pisses me off. But I am glad that Deontay Wilder is retaining Mark Breland. You know, I heard reports that he wasn't allowed back in the dressing room, that he was crying outside the locker room. That's been reported. I don't know how true that is, but that's what's being said. There's been some people saying that, and I just don't know. I just don't know how true that is. I don't. But at least it seems as though they were able to come to an agreement and come to an understanding. And now, in my opinion, the most qualified person in that corner is going to still be in that corner. And hopefully, you know, he can have an impact on how Wilder does in the rematch. And hopefully, you know, we get a better fight in the third fight than we got in the second fight. But I still think Tyson Fury will win the third fight. But let's see what happens, guys. Let's see if this fight does get pushed back to the fall. It looks as though Deontay Wilder definitely is going to proceed with this fight. And it looks as though everyone's on board. And it seems as though Anthony Joshua and Kubrat Pulev will be fighting possibly in the summer. That's a fight that has to happen as well. But at least Wilder seems to be doing some damage control right now by at least doing the right thing in this instance and in this regard by holding on to Mark Breland. So hopefully he's apologized to Mark Breland, and it's going to be interesting to see now how Mark Breland can coexist with JD's, who JD's was also unhappy with Breland. Shelly Finkel, who was the manager, also came up on the ring apron, and both these guys were kind of giving Breland a tongue lashing. The whole team was giving Breland a tongue lashing at the end of that fight, and they were all jumping all over him, saying to him, "What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?" And they were all questioning him on his decision to stop the fight. But now he's still on the team, so let's see. Let's see how these other guys interact with him. Let's see if this can be a cohesive unit moving forward. And it'll be interesting to see who gives the instructions in the corner for the third fight. Because in the beginning of the second fight, saw Breland being the guy who was giving the instructions. Saw Breland was the guy giving the instructions for the first couple rounds. And then afterwards, JD's jumped in there and Breland was on the side. So that to me is a conflict right there when you have one guy doing the talking for one part of the fight, and then you have another guy doing the talking for the second part of the fight. You have two sets of instructions coming from two different people who have two different mentalities. JD's is a guy that just tells you go move forward and throw punches and try to knock that guy out, where Breland actually explains to you how to set the shots up. He seems to be more tactical in his instructions, and obviously he should be because he has more knowledge than JD's. JD's is listed as the head trainer, but the interesting thing about it is they don't have him act as a head trainer. If he's the head trainer, then he should be in front of Deontay Wilder for all 12 rounds, where he's not. You have Breland in front of him for great portions of the fight. Sometimes you have Breland in front of him the whole fight. So it's weird. It's just weird how that team works. They don't even have a cut man in that team. JD's actually does the cuts too, if I'm not mistaken. I seen him doing the cuts. And you heard Andre Ward during the telecast of that fight saying, well, what's going on? They're not even wiping off his face. They're leaving blood on his face, on the side of his head. It just seems like Wilder should keep Breland, but he should bring in a cut man, and he should probably get rid of JD's. I don't think JD's brings much to the table at all. I really don't. And there has to be some friction, or there's going to be differences. There's definitely philosophical differences in the way Breland does things as opposed to the way JD's does things. And then Shelly Finkel's up on the apron yelling at Breland. Who the fuck are you, Shelly Finkel? Yeah, okay, you were a manager for Tyson, you were a manager for Klitschko, but you've never taken a punch in your life. Get the fuck off the apron. You have no right to talk about the fight, the tactical aspects of the fight itself, and why a trainer made a decision when you've never taken a punch in your life and you have no knowledge of the intricacies of the sport of boxing. You're a numbers guy, okay? You're a numbers guy, and you were a guy that refused to go to meetings to even try to make Wilder Joshua fights. So you're supposed to be such a good businessman, but yet you won't even sit down with the other side. So Shelly Finkel, man, I'm not a huge fan of his. I respect that he's been in the game for a long time, but I think he's old school. I don't think he realizes how things work now. And you need some people in your corner that are gonna help you, not hurt you. And I don't think JD's is doing Wilder any good by not caring about the physical well-being of his fighter. I don't think Shelly Finkel's doing Deontay Wilder any good by telling Deontay Wilder to stand on his high horse and, have this ego about him that, we don't want to listen to the other side at all. you just gotta put personal feelings aside. You gotta put egos aside. Look at Bob Arum and Eddie Hearn. They talk shit about each other all the time. Bob Arum and Don King used to talk shit about each other all the time. But when it came down to make a deal, they had no problem sitting down and talking it out. Because business trumps everything. But when you have guys like Shelley Finkel who are emotional people who can't put the emotions behind the business and put the business in front of the emotion, then this is what you get. You have a career that maybe did not live up to its full potential. Who am I to say that? I mean, I'm not a business major. I don't know the ins and outs of what goes on in that camp. I don't know the ins and outs of, you know, Deontay Wilder's finances or anything of that. But I do know that there's been a strong resistance of Shelley Finkel to actually sit down and talk to other people, particularly Eddie Hearn. He has this personal vendetta against Eddie Hearn. And I know Eddie Hearn talks a lot of shit, and he says a lot of stupid things. But at the end of the day, I mean, Eddie Hearn is a successful promoter, and he's been involved in some big events over the years. And it would only make sense that you would sit down and talk to Eddie Hearn when the time comes to talk to Eddie Hearn. No one's saying you have to make the deal, but at least hear it out. At least hear it out. But all you hear from Shelley Finkel is basically, oh, well, we don't need them. We don't have to talk to them. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. So if everyone had the attitude of Shelley Finkel, then no fights would ever get made. So at the end of the day, I think it's going to be interesting to see how this team, like I said, works together moving forward for the third fight. Because right now, I would have to speculate that there needs to be a lot of soul searching in that corner right now. And what's going to happen if Deontay Wilder finds himself in a similar situation in the third fight? Will Mark Breland have the green light to throw in the towel? How will this work moving forward? How will this work moving forward? And here's the interesting thing, too, is that just because the corner throws the towel in, the referee still doesn't have to stop the fight. Only the referee can stop the fight. So even when a fighter retires in his corner, says I don't want to come out, the referee makes the referee is the guy who goes to the center of the ring and actually waves off the fight. So he's the guy that waves off the fight. If you look at a fighter, Miguel Cotto versus Yuri Foreman, they threw the towel in Yuri Foreman's corner, threw the towel in a few times, and Arthur McCarthy Jr. took the towel and threw it out of the ring and said, no, I'm not stopping this fight. This guy's fighting his heart out. I'm going to let him fight, which was a stupid move because the guy couldn't even stand on his leg, and Arthur McCarthy is sitting there allowing him to get the shit kicked out of him. So I think the corner should take precedence over the referee. They know their fighter better than the referee knows their fighter. And they care about their fighter more than the referee knows about their fighter. So in that instance, I thought Arthur McCarthy Jr. made an ass of himself by throwing the towel out of the ring, and he should have stopped the fight immediately when that towel went in, because Yuri Foreman couldn't even stand on his leg. His knee was gone. And that's the big thing. When a fighter can have an injured eye, he can have an injured hand, injured shoulder, injured anything in the fight. But when he doesn't have his legs, that's the biggest problem for any fighter, not having your legs, because everything starts with your legs in the sport of boxing. Okay? When you first learn how to box, or when I first entered a gym, trainer put me in front of the mirror and he said, just shadow box. And he said, and look at your feet when you're throwing punches. Don't just look at your upper body. Look at your feet. Make sure you have your balance. Make sure you're shifting your weight properly from one foot to the other, one side of your body to the other with your feet. And make sure you're twisting and you're turning into shots, and making sure your feet aren't too wide apart when you're throwing these shots. And so your footwork is everything in the sport of boxing. When you build a house, the most important thing is the foundation. The foundation determines how strong that house is going to be and how long it's going to last and how well it's going to stand up to turbulent weather, or how long it's going to last in general over the course of time. And the same goes for a fighter in boxing. Your legs are everything. Your legs are your foundation. Your legs are your strength. And if your legs are gone in a fight, then that's everything, because the legs are what start the process of everything you do in that ring. Every punch you throw is generated from the ground up, not the other way around. So the guy had no legs. Yuri Foreman had no legs. Deontay Wilder had no legs. There's no reason to allow a fight to go on when a fighter has no legs. And if you get hit in that temple shot, that temple area, that ear area, and your equilibrium gets knocked off, that determines how well you're going to have your legs up underneath you. And once your equilibrium gets knocked off, you don't have any legs underneath you, and you're basically defenseless in there. So it was argued that the fight should have been stopped earlier than the 7th round. Now, whose fault is that? Is that the referee's fault? Is that the corner's fault? Well, someone has to take ownership of that. But at the end of the day, we knew Deontay Wilder had no legs, and the only guy that was willing to take him out of harm's way was Mark Breland. So let's see if someone else gets brought in there. Let's see at least if they at least bring a cut man in there, because they don't even have a cut man in that corner. Tyson Fury had 2 cut men in his corner. Deontay Wilder didn't even have 1 cut man in his corner for that fight. So let's see. Let's see what happens, because his legs were all over the place. He had no balance, and only one guy could see that. Only one guy was willing enough to see and pull the plug on that fight. And JD's was not. JD's was a yes man. JD's was only seeing dollar signs in front of him, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. And this is why you have the problem you had. So let's see if Deontay Wilder brings in a strength and conditioning coach. Let's see, he's saying that he's going to have the same guy who made the first suit for him in the second fight. He's going to bring that guy back to make his suit again. Question is, how much is this suit going to weigh? So now we're hearing other things like the gloves as an excuse. We're hearing the suit. We're hearing the referee wasn't on his side. He was on Fury's side. He was against him. We're hearing the gloves now were being tampered with. We're hearing all types of shit. Rabbit punching when he rabbit punches more than anyone. And Steve Kim had a great quote. He said that Deontay Wilder made a bad situation worse by all the things he's saying. And I agree with him. And these are things that he's going to have to deal with moving forward, going into the third fight. This is shit that he's going to have to deal with going into a third fight. And it's just going to be interesting to see how the public deals with this. We're going to see how if this negative backlash that he's getting now is going to carry over into the third fight, and if it's going to turn people off to want to tune into the third fight or not, or if people are just going to tune in just to see Deontay Wilder get beat up now, because now he's made a decision, a conscious decision, to become the bad guy in this whole thing, where Tyson Fury's the babyface and Deontay Wilder's turned himself into the heel. Let's see if that helps the third fight. Let's see if that carries over into the third fight. Let's see if that makes any difference on how well this third fight does. Because I know we're hearing reports of, like I said, the 800 to 850. I think when it's all said and done, this fight will hit very close to $1 million, if not $1 million, or if not a little bit over $1 million. And I'm going to try, like I said, to talk to Bob Arum today to get some clarification on a lot of this news that's being put out there, a lot of these rumors, a lot of the speculation. I just gotta get to the bottom of this. I'm gonna try to get to the bottom of this at some point today. Hopefully I can get to the bottom of this at some point today, because I really want to know the truth here, and I don't think we're getting the full truth. And I just don't like the fact, and I've continued to say that I don't like the fact, and I hate to beat a dead horse, I don't like the fact that we have people keep coming out here with rumors without having official numbers and not being able to speak to this with 100% certainty. It really frustrates me and pisses me off that we have these people coming out and saying all this stuff. It really does. I have to be honest. It really pisses me off. I've never seen more rumors and more excuses tied into one event in my life than this fight right here. This fight has just become one big giant controversy after controversy after controversy as time goes on. It's really crazy. So at the end of the day, all we can do is wait and see how this whole thing plays out. I'm sure we're going to find out in a month's time when this fight's going to take place, and it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see where this fight takes place. If it's going to stay in Las Vegas or if it's going to go somewhere else. They're talking about it being in the new Raiders stadium, which is going to be built soon. I don't know what the capacity of that is, but I'm sure it's going to be more than the MGM Grand. So if they go ahead and do that, it's going to be interesting to see if they could sell out that stadium or if they're going to allow it to be scaled back a little bit for less occupancy. We'll see. A lot of questions to be asked in the coming weeks, and I'm sure we're going to hear more and more information come out as time goes on, and hopefully in a month's time or so we'll know when this fight will take place and we'll have a lot more information. But like I said, I may try to reach out to Bob Arum today and get some clarification on this. All right, until next time, I think that's about it. Beeb is out. Talk to y'all soon. Have a great day and take care. Hey, what's up? Kamal Oz, how you doing, guys? All right, guys, I'll talk to y'all later, man. Have a great day, and peace out, everyone. Enjoy the fights tonight. I'll see how my schedule looks for today. Maybe I may jump on and do a live cast for Jesse Vargas and Mikey Garcia. So I may decide to do a live cast for that. All right, guys. Till next time, Beaver's out. Talk to y'all soon. Have a great day. Peace out.